if there's no visible way out, somehow I'm just calm. Like, okay, it's shit now, but somehow we'll figure this out. Somehow it will get better.
Really, the pain was significant. I still remember it all these years. Let's just say Patrick was well known in the youth.
Visiting
Always
churches.
visiting churches, yes.
Visiting churches. It's cool, change of scenery, making friends, some people you meet, you're like, nope. First and last time I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
So,
You get that vibe, eh? It's weird.
In the relationship, when the guy's upset, then that's fine. When the girl's upset, then it goes to the relationship.
Yeah, always.
So, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Patrick and Keegan Show. I'm your host Patrick, with my co-host Keegan.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Good to be back. Good to see you, Pat.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. People don't really know, who are watching or listening, know the time that it takes between uploading episodes and working through them, and scheduling each other's time.
Also the time zones, but
and the time zones from one end of the world to the other. But it feels longer than it actually was that we've been apart. But to record another episode. But I'm happy to be here, happy to see you, happy to hear that you're well. Your baby, your daughter, also just going through growing phases, but that's a good sign. So I'm happy to hear all about that.
No, it is. I mean, not good for the parents, but it's, one of those things. You just have to accept it. That's
Look,
you adapt as parents.
The one thing I can say is I'm getting a good night's nest, and I'm sorry about.
What's that like, Keegan? What's that like? It's like a holiday.
Look, worries are off my shoulders at the moment, so I'm just enjoying life. Happy to go about as I am, and continue striving for all those goals that I still got. So, some days, or as I have a colleague here, his name is Mark Carter, and he always says, some days are diamonds and some days are stones. And so that's how it is for me, Simple as that, but that is true. But yeah, for this episode, my brother, I thought we'd give our audience an idea of who we are, and impression of what makes us who we are, what inspires us, what we've been through, our lives, and why we do our channel. I was asked this question a few times by colleagues into why we do this channel, or what inspired me to do this channel.
Shout out to Brian.
Yeah. There's obviously Brian in the group, yeah, best friend, and it's difficult sometimes to sum it into words as to why we do this channel or why we've started something like this. I know, obviously, it was first point for me and you to keep a connection with one another from the opposite ends of the world, catch up and have that regular touch base and see how, the family's growing, your family's growing, and what I'm doing in life. But I think also it's evolved to a point where we really, truly want to inspire all those around the world, all our listeners and all those who watch, to know that they can achieve success no matter how far down their rock bottom is, and no matter how dark that tunnel may be or how deep that hole may be that they think they cannot walk out or climb out. Because there's people that we will come across down our paths who will share stories of similar things that a lot of our listeners and viewers are going through. And for me, I think even if we can just get to that one person, if there's one person we can inspire, one person who can take a golden nugget from any of our people that we bring onto the channel, interview, I think we've done a good thing. And, and I don't know if you want to build on that, if there was something more you wanted to add as to why you feel we want to continue doing this channel. But I think for me, as you know, and we'll probably speak about it later, going through my recent divorce, there's lots of other men out there who need to get answers. Maybe they're seeking answers. But yeah, look, like I said, we'll tap on that later on. But what do you feel, Pat, is maybe one of the driving forces for us to continue this channel?
Look, the reason why, I think one of the reasons why I would start the channel, was because, yeah, just to get in touch with you. You all the way in New Zealand, I'm all the way in the Netherlands. And kind of when you decide upon yourself, look, yeah, I'm going to start something different. I'm going to leave my home, travel across the ocean, start again somewhere else. Obviously, it comes with a lot of challenges,
Oh yeah.
and you
Yep.
make peace with certain problems. Like this is going to happen. I'm going to be isolated. I'm going to be away from my family. I'm going to have to learn a new culture. That you have to kind of build yourself up again.
Mm.
You kind of miss that, almost, yeah, that family, that core. And this is just a way of reconnecting. And also, I noticed also that a lot of expats, yeah, they were also struggling, I think.
Yeah.
Also isolated from their family, from their
Yeah.
way of life,
Yeah.
trying to, adapt to new circumstances, new environments.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, each person has their own story, their own kind of internal battle, just connecting with friends,
Mm.
but also trying to figure out, okay, we're in a situation, there's other people that have gone through worse, that's gone through better. What can we take from those so
Mm.
that we can kind of
Mm.
also, what's the adage? You know, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others.
Mm.
So what can we take from the collective to push ourselves forward?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that outlook specifically, or quite a bit. And I know you touched on it there, and that's perhaps a little insight to what is coming onto or following for our channel. And one of those points is for us to speak about expats and what it is to leave the nest, to go out into these different places of the world, different cultures, to try and make a success. I think a lot of that isn't really spoken about, at least not in the circles that I am, or in the social media that I've been consuming, content I've been consuming. That speaks a lot about it. Obviously, when I'm at my office, there's a ton of expats from all over the world, where we can sit together at the table, have lunch, and we speak about how immigration is, doing us. So yeah, and it's not fun, man, because it's like you say, you get to that point where you feel so isolated, you feel so alone, and there's this community then in the world of isolated people who have hopes and dreams to have better in their lives, who actually draw strength from one another and say, hey, this is crap, this has been taking so long, oh, you're also dealing with that issue, oh, this and that's something that's coming for us, and we want to bring that to you guys, and perhaps our audience, you will even meet someone or speak to someone or listen to someone who is in a country where you are thinking of going. And we hope that when we interview these people or that person specifically, that something helps you along the application process. Again, Patrick and I don't pretend to want to be immigration lawyers or anything, or try to act like this is an immigration channel for or certain information. It certainly isn't. But perhaps there's little things that through conversation that we can share. And then, Pat, at the end of the day, if we look at what happens or what is happening in the world, I think we are still at a fortunate position to do what we do and create this channel. People are struggling, and I just wanted to, as I say to you, one of the points that I would have liked our listeners to hear from our hearts is that how we use gratitude to continue doing what we're doing, because we are human. There are days where we're going to get upset about things, and days we're going to question our trials and whether everything is worth it. But I come down to the gratitude perspective, and that's the question I ultimately wanted to pose to you today also. For all the things that you've been through, when times become tough, do you have that moment of zen, or with gratitude, or does gratitude come into your moments of calmness? How is that for you, really?
I think it probably comes in a subconscious way. I know gratitude is not the new hype, but the gratitude journals. At the end of the day, or in the beginning of the morning, try to think of what you're grateful for, those type of things. I can't really say that I don't consciously think those through. I know when times get shit,
Mm.
um,
And they do.
and they do because that's life, kids. I don't know. I think I have more faith than gratitude that things will get better.
Yeah. And you touch on
Uh,
an important point there. Sorry to interject.
yeah,
I was going to say from my side that somehow my gratitude is deeply aligned with my faith. Not just faith in myself to succeed, but my spiritual faith. But continue.
yeah. No, that's true. So no matter when shit hits the fan, there's a bill that we can't figure out how we're gonna pay. And the wife's like, "Oh my god, what are you gonna do?" I don't know. I just even though in the moment, there's kind of there's no visible way out. Somehow I'm just calm, like okay, it's shit now, but somehow we'll figure this out.
Mm.
Somehow it will get better.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how. I don't know if it's a church thing that we've grew up with, but
Mm.
that's just how it is.
Mm.
No matter how things get, that will always work its way out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. It does come from our church. Growing up in a spiritual, can we say, bubble, or in a community where faith was a big thing, and it's difficult. I'm not going to pretend and say, oh, whenever I hit a road, a stumbling block or a speed bump, that I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to be grateful now and now feel better. It's not always that
Yeah,
easy. Um, yes. When and I mean, you and I can laugh now about the fact that our South African counterparts are sitting with load shedding issues and we don't have that.
what's load shedding?
I, I guess when I switch a light on these days, shit, I'm grateful for that because we don't have load shedding here.
No, that is true.
Touch wood, they say. Um, but there is those times when you're right, when you can't pay a bill, when you can't see a way out, and then you start as we say, start counting your blessings and realize, listen, well, I still got this and I still got that and so I'm not actually doing too bad. And some may say it that it's used just as a coping mechanism, but I don't think so, because for me, when I feel those true moments of gratitude, thankfulness for the people around me, friends like you and your wife, friends and support family back home, who check in all the time, or at least regularly, that reach out. There's a lot of people in this, especially as men, it can be a lonely world that we live in, and things can be really tough for us
Yeah,
in what we need to do and provide for our families, and because when shit hits the fan, they turn to us.
yeah,
And that can be a lonely place when you don't have a brotherhood to turn to and to speak to. And one of the people I'm really thankful for also is that Robin. He's there all the time. He's messaging me all the time. It's almost at a point where I say, "Hey, stop fucking messaging me now." But no, I'll never do that. I'm so thankful for him being in my life, and that I've got that point of home.
yeah,
And that for me is really good. All of these connections that I have, like with you, especially to Brian, all my other friends, and we can't sit here and list them because a lot of our friends are also mutual, and but that's one of the things I'm really grateful for. I guess we could even sit for hours, and our audience would listen to us just talk about these points of gratitude and things that
why not? Why
and
not?
and
I have
and
time, buddy. I have time.
yeah, and faith experiences of that we've been taught, or that we've seen, or that we've even felt. And I think that is it. Gratitude is mostly appreciated when you can feel it. And I think for gratitude to be especially impactful in someone's life, you need to have gone through some hardship. You need to have gone through something where you didn't have.
Hmm.
Because, today you have, and I make it maybe in simple terms, today you have a lollipop and tomorrow you don't, or for years you never could get a lollipop, and then you did, and now you do. But if you've always had it, you don't understand the value and the significance of it. Same. I mean, like
Yeah.
yeah, obviously they keep saying you don't know the value of something until it's gone, until it's missing. Brings me back to your point of the isolation again. You're so thankful that even in these far distances, you have connections, and then you value those connections even more so that you had before, and you
Yeah.
start wondering, did I maximize my gratefulness, thankfulness to all of those people around me at that same time too? But when they reach out and send you a message of support, and you're like, okay, sweet, that's what I needed to go through the day.
I think looking back, you can never fully appreciate something when you have it. I mean, the same like when I was at home with my parents and the family, I would always isolate myself. I'd
Mm.
always be on my phone or kind of
Mm.
just zone out. So that's only when I moved overseas and I was alone, then did I realize, I should have kind of enjoyed those moments more when I had my family around and stuff like that. So it is, yeah, it's kind of hindsight also. I mean, you can try to, I think, be conscious of what you have right now and try to maximize that. But it's, yeah, you only feel the weight of it once it's gone.
There we go. There we go. And I feel so like, and this is actually again that you're segueing nicely for some of the questions that I have. Is the point that when we moved to try and create these new lives, both you in Europe and me here on this side, how quickly we've had to mature, you know? And so that maturity of being on our own, forcing ourselves to realize, listen, mom, dad, best friends, whoever it is, they're not going to be a phone call away to come and pick you up from wherever you stand or to do whatever. That self-development and maturity is absolutely critical. And yeah, they say, women mature faster than men, and perhaps that is still a contentious point. But I can certainly attest to the fact that I have matured during this journey significantly. And I think I've matured again on the gratitude spectrum of things. And
Yeah.
so today, when I'm able to pick up the phone and call my parents, as you're saying, I too spend time around my parents just on my phone, just not really wondering how they're doing. And now when I pick up the phone and I can WhatsApp video call them and we can laugh together, I'm grateful for those moments. Now you gonna go back home soon, and I will be going back home just a little bit after you as well, to share. And I think the value of those moments again, to be able to share, and it's going to be even more significant and beautiful for you because now you get to take your daughter,
Yeah.
and again, those moments, they create those core memories. And man, sometimes I just think to myself, why can't everybody in this world just feel the way we do, the way I do, in terms of appreciating things and things. But that's another rabbit hole that we could go through for hours.
No, and to touch on your point also, when you do go back, you appreciate those moments more because you know you're going to leave soon again.
Mm,
So you need to
mm,
kind of
mm,
take focus on those memories and try to
mm, mm.
squeeze the maximum out of it. Yeah.
You have to, because as I always say to a lot of my friends, is that tomorrow is never guaranteed to anybody. You never know what's going to happen. So you need to live every day, as cliche as it sounds, excuse me, to the max.
Yeah.
Seize every moment and enjoy it. And all those who are close to you, they must always know after you've done interacting with them or whatever, that they are appreciated for being in your life. Because people often, and I don't mean to take this to a somber moment, but at grave, when someone dies and you're standing at the grave and you stand there and say, oh, I wish I'd said this, I wish I had let him know this, and I wish and also between our mutual friend Warren, who has passed away, there are a lot of things that even when I stood at his memorial site there, and I said to myself, gosh, I didn't know that was going to be the last hug I was going to give you,
Yeah.
and I hope that you knew how much I appreciate you. And that's why I go through everything appreciative of things, and use gratitude as a central point of my life. That everyone knows who comes across my path that I appreciate the time that we've shared together and to do. And that sort of brings people together too.
Weddings and funerals
So,
always brings people together. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's true. But the funny part then is obviously now. Let's talk or let's inform our audience of what brought us together, Pat. And this
A swimming pool brought us together.
a
Yeah.
swimming pool brought us together. Can you believe it? It's so funny, And for those watching and listening, I don't know, Pat. Do you want to tell them the story? And in fact, you
Sure.
know what?
I'll
You tell the story because it will be interesting for me to see your perspective on it, because there's a very painful perspective from my side.
I'll tell you my perspective of it.
Yeah.
Clearly, I was such an asshole back in the day.
Ah,
Even when the wife tells me, "Oh, Patrick, when you met your three, you were like this person. You were so asshole,
yeah.
and you did this and you said this to me." I'm like, "Oh, really? I can't remember." But okay. I guess so. Yeah, I just thought, okay, so we grew up in Cape Town, in one of the suburbs. I was fortunate enough to grow up having a pool in the backyard. Um, and actually, because of that, a lot of kids from my school actually wanted to also swim by me in the pool. And I guess one day, my cousin came along, Duncan, and he had a friend, which I don't think I knew you well at the time. Um, and Duncan wanted to come swim, and he brought this friend with Keegan. Um, yeah, and I was an asshole, I guess. So basically, I opened the door. Duncan says, "Hey, can you come swim over?" And also, by the way, we also have like this kind of a church that was in, I guess, not in the garage, but somewhere like in the back type of thing. And my father was also a minister. And every Sunday, every Wednesday, there would be church services at the house. And I think growing up with that, I guess that always having a church service in your house, kind of knowing that, and also that, my father was a priest, it almost, I don't know, it's actually a way of saying this, but it gave me like a complex, like, I'm like, not the owner, but like, like I'm a gatekeeper to church, basically, like some type of weird thing.
Yeah.
And so, so you and my cousin was there, and my cousin asked, like, can you come swim? Then I'm like, yeah, sure, for you, Duncan, it's fine, you can come through. And I'm like, who's this person? I don't know this person now, sorry. Family only. And then I just close the door.
Yeah. It's as cold hearted as that.
How old were you then, Keegan?
Oh my gosh! Actually, Pat, that's a very good question. I can't remember how old you were. Wow, what is that? Gosh, were we even?
No.
Were we even 10?
I was gonna say probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere there.
Yeah, somewhere quite young. I'm not too sure. I mean, clearly the pain was significant. I still remember it all these years.
Keegan's origin story.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, we were quite young, and that's how I also came to know you, is exactly as you were sharing with our audience there, is that, Patrick's place was, at the time when our church was still in development, or was our church in,
I think we were
looking for another church building?
Church,
Somewhere, yeah. Patrick's parents were kind enough to host our services at their property, as you were saying. And going to church every Sunday, especially on the lovely days, you see this in it, this awesome pool that's there, and everyone wants to touch it and get cooled down or whatever. And I thought somewhere along the line, Pat would have seen me or noticed me or whatever, but wasn't to be. And I remember still Duncan came over, says, "Oh man, it's hot today. Fancy going for a swim?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds cool. Can I come?" He's like, "Yeah, come. We're going to my cousin's place." And the one part that Pat doesn't know, obviously, is that we walked from the suburb where Duncan and I stayed to the suburb where Patrick is. Now, I remind you again, guys, that it was a hot day. And, you're walking with this.
It wasn't around the corner.
And it wasn't around the corner. And you're walking with this excitement, enthusiasm. I'm like, yes, this walk is going to be worth it. I'm going to jump in that pool finally, this pool that I've seen every Sunday morning.
The promised land.
Exactly, and I'm like, yes, this is the moment, this is the moment. And eventually, long story short, we get to the door, and it's exactly as Patrick recollects, like, hey, Duncan's like, oh, cool, can we come swim there? Patrick's like, yeah, sure, no family, you can come in. And as I was about to say, hey, Dada, but the hey, I'm like, oh, we familiar, you know me. Like, I come here every Sunday, da da da.
So,
And no, the door was simply just shut in my face. And I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's just like, wow. Wow. And needless to say, I had to walk all that way back on my own with my towel on my shoulder. So yeah, it was, oh man.
My parents will not be impressed with that story.
But hey, here we are today. And I guess even through that little painful moment of, those memories today, we can laugh about it, which is so cool. And today we share this channel together. And I mean, I must be honest, I don't know what Duncan is even doing in his life. So, again, things happen for a reason, points of origin, points of contact, all of these things. And so even for that, again, I come back to the point of that I'm so thankful that has happened to me. And you learn through those things. Maybe that was my first point of contact to realize, hey, the importance of family, or the importance of creating relationships with other people. You don't just knock on someone's door and ask them for something, though that is a very common theme in South Africa.
Another story there. Yeah,
there's another story on that point, but we won't go down that line. And yes, audience, that's exactly what it's been. And through the years, we've got older, and we've lost contact also for a while. And then moving over, I think in 2000, Patrick, you guys moved to Glenwood or Tekedal before our family, did they? I think you've been there for a while.
Yes, seems so.
Yeah.
We've been there 2004. Yeah.
2000.
Beginning 2004.
Oh no,
end of
can't be. Really? Because I know we moved into that area, or my family moved in that area in the year 2000. So did you come out?
Okay, no, because I only came there in my matric year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then we were there before you guys. But and so yeah, again, strange point is that Patrick then moves later on in life a couple of streets away from where we moved. So again, that is I guess another point where attending the same church again, church brings us together, and being involved in the youth, and youth activities, and then and then obviously our previous guest Rian, who he then comes into the picture too, as he's your cousin, family connection, who then was still is a good friend of mine. She's me going through the youth too. Patrick comes back into my life, and they're like, "Hey, I know you, pool guy,"
Pool guy. Love it.
But yeah, and that's how it goes. And then slowly but surely, the friendship circle grows and becomes tight, and we get involved in sporting activities. And after our activities, we're going out and having barbecues or braais, that we would call it, and in South Africa, at our parents' places, and that's how our friendship goes. And I think a lot of the time when we would sit together, though late at night, maybe by Rian's house, gaming or whatever, there was always some connection that we would talk about. Listen, these are the things I want to achieve in my life, and that brought us together even more so. So there, thanks again to Rian to reigniting that friendship too, because look where it is now, and him being on the channel just now as our last or previous guest. That's really good. And yeah, man, swings and roundabouts, full circles, it's really, really good.
Oh, we did. My days of traveling, visiting churches.
Yeah. Oh, there was that point too. Also, goodness, maybe not the right point to talk about that. But hey, let's just say Patrick was well known in the youth. Always visiting churches. Yes.
Visiting churches. It's called a change of scenery. Making friends.
That's it.
Connections, guys.
There we go. Connections being the key word. So yeah, no, that's
connections.
That's all good, man. And now we keep this connection alive, even though it's so far away. And you go through life building so many connections, and that's again the significance of it too. You meet so many different people, and for a time they will be walking along the same journey with you, talking about the same things, having the same interests, and some will fall away, and some will draw closer, and some will just stay exactly where they were, and well, that's how you go through life. It's yeah, could you even put it at a point to say that this is right and wrong, or this person is right and wrong, whatever? I think we're going through your life and how you've been brought up and experiences in your life, maybe even also in your faith spiritually, that defines how you draw closer to certain people. Moments of weakness, moments of strength, sharing core memories, they draw through to you. And even though you don't maybe at the time put a list of things down and say, well, these are my key priorities that I'm looking for in friends, I think naturally as we continue spending time together, that sorts itself out.
Yeah. I think, the more you spend time with someone, the more you kind of have an idea, or you can figure out exactly, the goals are in life, what they want, the character, because that's also important. Some people you meet, you're like, nope, first and last time I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
So,
You get that vibe, eh? It's weird.
You get that vibe.
You get that vibe. And I don't know. And no disrespect to those people. I've certainly met a few people where the vibe was absolutely not right. And, funny enough, or at least 9 times out of 10 for me, that vibe has saved me, and it's really good. And I don't know. Where do we get that from? Is that something you're born with? Is that a talent? Is that a superpower?
Intuition.
Intuition.
Gut feeling. Yeah.
Are they signing me up with the Avengers?
Intuition, man.
Intuition, man. Like that would be funny. It's crazy. And so we talk about these connections, and also one of the things that I mentioned earlier was, you create a connection with people that you also want to believe will be there in your journey for a long time or forever. And that specifically obviously comes back to my divorce that I've been through. You think it'll be forever. I mean, you stand and for those in the audience who appreciate the Christian value system of making vows at the altar, proclaiming your love, your dedication to God. That's what you do. You tend to always find a way to make it work. I think marriage is not perfect for anybody. There's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be disagreements, because ultimately that's what makes us different. If everything was the same, it would be mundane. Just the same old boring shit. Oh, you like that? Yes, I like. Oh, you want? Yeah. Oh, no. It's just, And the struggle, I think, brings you together, But I think the important part of also when you're selecting a partner, and it's not to say that, you can go to the store and purchase a lucky packet off the wall or something like that. But you need to find someone who's got vision, who can support you and go through that. Know what you're trying to do. I guess that everyone has different points of what makes a partner perfect, but there is no perfect partner, because most of the times, at least in the dating world, has seen, we try to keep those moments fluffy for a long time, and you show that person only what you want to show them. And it's funny, I don't know if your parents also told you that, but when you move in with someone, it's a different story. You start seeing a different side to them. You start seeing them hanging their clothes over the shower door, or
no makeup.
Oh,
damn.
Oh goodness, you went there. My goodness, but fair point.
Sorry. For that, it's the story. That's the story. For my wife will not be fine with this.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, the first night we kind of stayed in the same place together. She's blonde, and for some reason, clearly I've not been with a lot of blonde girls. I assumed that the dark eyebrows was natural, but then she took off her makeup and then it was like blonde eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened to your eyebrows? She was shocked. Like, really?
Yeah.
But clearly, again, me and my, what can I say? Not the most well-mannered, well-connected person. Just
And oh man, yeah. I don't know about you, but I've got like those special or habits where I get home and you just want to get out of your pants. So I take my pants and I just fucking chuck it anyway. Instead of hanging it up and as I was told, just hang your
you
shirt
don't have
up.
time for that.
I don't have a reason why I didn't do it. And I'm sure there's other men out there who's probably having a laugh about this now or thinking about their own little habits and things when they get home and that just annoy their wives. And then they have those little giggles on the inside.
Go to the fort.
There-
you run back again.
there's a lot of that. And I think, us as men, or the men that's listening, we're laughing on a different level. Because we understand what we're doing, just doing these little things to annoy them, even though it is funny as a whole. But I come back to the point of, the importance of connections and seeking the good, proper connections and the most healthiest ones. And it takes maybe some time to realize, to get to a point when like, oh, okay, now this is not what that person is to be, or what I'd hoped, or and maybe I can answer that or ask you that question.
Sure.
Do you get to a point where you realize, hey, this is not what I was looking for in this person or a person? But is it something you're willing to
9 months.
Or is it something
9 months. Honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Honeymoon period.
that
That's when you realize, okay, that's it. This is who you already are. But yeah, no.
fair,
Sorry,
fair enough. But are you willing to think like, okay, maybe you're going to change them, or maybe not change them? I think it's very different how men and women take on relationships as a partner. And I'd hate to be controversial out there or whatever, but I think a lot of the times women take their partners on or take men on and they say, oh, he's very good in these certain things, but I think I can still change him to become a certain way to make him the ultimate man or to make him the best suitable for me. But whereas
a DIY project,
projects, as for men, we're like, we're gonna love you no matter what. We're going to take what you have, and you have enough of what I'm hoping for as a partner, and I can deal with the rest because together we can make it work.
Yeah. I think it's also a bit of both. I mean, I think some qualities you look for in a girl, in a female. Some qualities they have that you're like, okay, it's fine. Other qualities, there's always like red flags or like hard nose. That like, no, this is not going to work. She does this or she likes this. This is not for me. So those things you'll instinctively know. But there are other things that you do, kind of appreciate. Other things you don't know what the future lies. But as you spend more time with them, you could kind of almost have like I wouldn't say an idea, but you can kind of see the pathway for you guys. So I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, and it's cool that you also bring up that point. What we socially call today as the red flags. For some of us, there's a point where one red flag, and that's too much. There's a certain degree of a red flag, and that's too much. Or there's even someone who sits on with a pen and paper and balances out the red flags with the green flags.
Exactly.
But
I think that's also with life. I mean, because let's be honest, I'm not exactly a green flag. I say I have my red flags. I think when my wife met me in the beginning, she was like, "Yeah, Patrick, you just had red flags all over." But for some reason, I had to believe like, no, this guy, even though what he's saying is the wrong thing or the worst thing to say, somehow his heart is in a good place or something like that. So yeah, I mean, you also have to kind of figure out, how many red flags is a no, and try to navigate what you can live with, because you're also not a perfect person. No one is a perfect person. So you also have your faults and failings.
There we go.
You just have to decide, is this person, is their fault or failing like a hard no? Yeah. It's all grays, basically. It's all, gray zones.
Yeah. And it's important, like, identifying those red flags. excuse me, sometimes it's harder than not.
Oh, it
And
is.
yeah, I guess, there were certain red flags that even I could have seen, but didn't want to see, or it was so blatantly obvious that I was maybe not mature enough to see it, and it was just over my head. And then you look through those eyes, and it's so weird, man. But it's true what they say. Sometimes love can just absolutely be blinding, and especially like that for us as men. We love through all the shit because that's what we are built to do. We are people of logic. We are not really people of emotions, and maybe that's a contentious point too. And
Most men.
yeah. But
Let's preface that. Most
yeah,
men. Yeah.
and again, in this case, so the connection breaks down, and you start seeing certain things develop, and you're seeing and meeting other people, and you hear of other people, and then you get that vibe, and like, ooh, something's not right here. And then everything just goes exactly as you think it would, and you should have just fucking stood up in the first place and said, listen, it's either that way or it's not, or whatever. And again, it's different for how men react in relationships and what we need to do, but is what it is. And I think, again, I want to round up that point to say that even through then, I'm grateful again that I had the right people around me to keep me going, to bring me up, to keep this awesome smile on my face. For those who can't, who are listening, I've got dimples, so that's extra points.
That is extra
Yeah,
points. Yeah.
yeah, but
Plus one on stats.
yeah, plus one. So yeah, man, that's just really it. And connections come and go, and so we get up. And as Les Brown always says, if you fall on your back and you can look up, then you can get up. And that's really where I am at the moment. And I'm happy, I'm strong, and onward and upward, and my faith will keep me going.
And it's actually funny because this summer, but in the relationship, when the guy's upset, then that's fine. When the girl's upset, then he goes to the relationship.
Yeah, always,
So yeah.
always. And it's so funny that we can be doing everything that we need to do as hard and to the best of our ability as we can. But unfortunately, they can still wake up one day, the next day, unexpectedly, and say, sorry, but this is not for me. Yeah.
I feel this way.
I feel
it's all about
that,
feelings.
Yeah.
It's all about feelings.
Yeah. Goodness. And we may just get cancelled after this episode, but
For feelings?
Yeah.
Yes.
To all the brothers out there, keep going, keep fighting. Another one will come. Always. And go to the gym, strengthen yourself, build yourself up, focus, take your frustrations out there, and always be a gentleman, always be kind, always be polite, and do not let the pain of relationships, pain of people who have left your life, pain from people who have chosen to break those connections, as we speak about. Don't let it change who you are.
As Jordan Peterson famously said, be nice, be kind, but be a monster.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I absolutely agree. Jordan Peterson is certainly someone whose views I do enjoy. Perspectives, development of men out there. Him along with Andrew Tate, Ben Shapiro. And the list goes on of quite good, can we say, male role models or icons that are out there.
I was actually going to say, is there any positive male role models that are not labeled alt-right, far-right?
It's again,
besides Jesus.
Yeah. And that's the thing, even those men too, they have their shortcomings and their failures, and a lot of the messages also that they give can be controversial, but the message underneath is not what's being accepted or looked at, and I wish I had a list of these examples for you. But yeah, sometimes a lot of the points too, or the controversy in what they say, is hidden behind satire, and people don't tend to see that. It's a
Guy
pity.
humor, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, maybe we share a little bit then of our childhood stories of where we grew up a little bit.
Looking back, I mean, I grew up in a fairly okay family, okay house. I grew up in a little place called Montana, uh, Dodgeville, as it is now. I think it was always, no, it wasn't always Dodgeville, but look, it was a nice place. Bit of a rough neighborhood, but we also, where the suburb is, it's located next to also rough neighborhoods, so we were kind of like a bit, a bit better than the others. Um,
AKA me.
ah,
Yeah.
no, I was thinking Fowler Park, but
Oh
that's
yeah, no,
that's a
fuck,
different
that's
story.
another discussion. Shout out to all the Viola Parkians, if that's a word.
There we go.
Bontas. Yeah,
What?
it is. Look, respect to all of them, mate. It's we all have different battles, but yeah. It is. We certainly didn't come from silver spoons
Yeah,
backgrounds, both of us. Your schooling, Pat? Did you go? Yeah, you went to Montana Primary, did you? Or
yeah,
was it
went there. Yeah,
What was it? Montevideo.
Montevideo, Montevideo
Montevideo. There
Primary.
we go. Yeah, that's
That's named after the other suburb next to us for some reason. But yeah, that's how the school was. Look, school. I mean, yeah. I was not the most social person. I was more of a book person, so you'd find me in the library reading, watching sci-fi movies. Yeah, I always knew I wanted to be a scientist, even though I became an engineer. But yeah, I always knew I wanted to be in that direction.
mm,
Um, yeah, and I don't know, always. Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't grow up in the most wealthiest of families. My family was very conservative. Yours probably also.
mm.
Um, Compared to my family, I was, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, looking back, like for example, when we had our birthdays. Yeah, this is a weird topic, but like I never had a birthday cake with candles. So I mean, I told my mother like, it's a birthday cake with candles. Nothing. My cousins all
Yeah,
got that shit. I was
yeah,
like, what's going on, you guys?
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, funny though because yeah, I spoke when you kind of when you speak to your wife and you like, you talk about like, this is what I did as a child. I was growing up in, where you from? And then she'd always like, yo, Shane Patrick, this is how you grew up. You didn't have, for example, they went to McDonald's for their birthday. What's that like? My parents never took us to any, fancy places. We were all about, I wouldn't say, yeah, almost, we were like surviving, like
yeah,
survivor mode type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So we didn't really, yeah, there was no frills. We went to the same place every holiday, George, Garden Route, yeah, twice a year.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
had an aunt out there, was it? Oh,
Oh yeah, my
yeah,
granny, my
yeah.
granny and
Oh,
us, yeah,
your granny
and
had
some
the
family
revival.
also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was chill. I mean, yeah, school holidays was fun for the families. Yeah, three families in one small two-bedroom house. That's always fun.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, looking back, I mean, look, I probably lived a sheltered life in terms of there was probably shit going on around me, but I just zoned out. I was just on myself. So yeah, I probably isolated myself
Mm.
type of thing.
Mm.
So there could have been shit going on. I didn't notice it
Yeah,
growing up.
yeah.
And looking back, there was probably shit going on, but my family did the best they could. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Where did you go to high school, Pat?
Rhodes High School,
Nodes
Mowbray.
High. Oh, yes, that was there
Yeah.
along the N2, was it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, next to the N2. Yeah. National route from the southern suburbs, for those listening, from the southern suburbs of Cape Town. Um, one of the big routes going into the city was the N2. Yeah, so when you would go to school, so for me, when I would go to school in the city, we'd often drive, or every morning we'd drive past Rhodes High, so I know exactly the school he's talking about. Just up on a little hill
Driving
there.
past the zoo.
Yeah.
Like, mommy, what they doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously, funny enough, again we come full circle, and we had some classes together, as Patrick touched on. We were engineers. Um, Found ourselves studying some classes together too, helping one another through that. So that was awesome. Um, and then, yeah, what happened? So then you went off to you work government job, eh? What is that?
South African National Parks, best
There
job
we
ever.
go. Yeah.
Best job ever.
Yeah.
So, a brief story. What it was a governmental organization that we worked for. We would look after all the national parks, or the main ones, basically throughout the country. Um, we did all the engineering, all the technical services for that. And because, there's like, I actually have no idea, 12, 11 parks in the country. Every now and then I would travel to these parks, and it was almost like a holiday for me. I would come in, have a site meeting, have meetings with whoever, and then the next day just chill in the park like a tourist. So,
That is nice.
The pay wasn't amazing, but I mean, I felt like I was always traveling. I was always doing new projects, always new things. So that always, and also being part of kind of every aspect of the engineering process. So it was always something new.
Yeah.
And that was what got me up in the mornings, because I was like, I can't wait to get to the office, see what's in store for me.
Yeah. I do remember you also telling us about, what is that other places? Was it Tankwa Town or something like that you would go out in?
Tankwa, yes.
Yeah.
Keegan decided, let's drive there with the golf. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, shit, that the fuck. How my car managed to go through there without any punches.
I've seen worse.
Gosh. The things you do for love at those ages, but and I just got that car. It was like a week in, I think. I got it, and then forced to go and drive on these boulders. Goodness sake!
Like Keegan was like, no, yeah, we're gonna go to this event or this festival, in Tankwa.
Burning Man was
Tankwa.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the local version of that. And I was like, I've been to that park. That park's dodgy, like for your cars, because it's like a dirt road.
Yeah.
But like the stones was like the stones that the road's made up was like sharp as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like a given that if you drive to that park, your tire will, give out.
Yeah.
And so to hear that my friend Keegan's driving there with a golf, I'm like, oh, buddy,
look,
take tires.
You remember the profile on my tires? They were fucking next to nothing, I tell you. And so now obviously we're going down this road at what, 20 k's maybe, 20 kilometers an hour in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? There's no cell phone reception. It's pointless having your aircon on because it just doesn't fucking work either. And I'll tell you something funny. So now we're driving down this road, and I am absolutely beside myself with my wheels. I'm hoping nothing is scratching. I'm hoping there's no punches. And you're driving down, you see these 4x4s are on their roofs because, and I was like, oh fuck, man, what am I doing? And I'm sitting there, and all the adrenaline is spiking through my body. That eventually I got like a nervous shit, I was like, no, I gotta pull over, So pulled over, and I sort of just horched next to the car and had this fucking absolute sloppy shit, and because the nerves were just fucking destroying me, man. I was like, fuck, am I gonna make it through this? And yeah, sorry for that graphic picture there, audience.
Love it.
Yeah, it's you got to look back at these moments and be happy, and you can laugh about it.
Exactly. But did you die? Exactly.
I did it. There we go. That's it. But did you die? Yeah. So that was weird. And then also like 3 days later on our way back, I sort of remembered that spot, and I just wanted to see it was still there and was still fucking there.
Your mark was still there.
Yeah, no. Perhaps please forgive me for all those park rangers that found it, stumbled upon it, or stumbled into it. I apologize for not picking up after myself. But yeah, quite an embarrassing moment. But here we are today, making it through.
The Dang Beatles probably like, thank you, from the food from the gods.
But it's weird though. Like it came out such a weird color. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that detail. But yeah, gosh. Pat. And now you've gone through that. You went to. We both went to university, same place. Studied civil engineers, and now you're up there in Netherlands, and it's obviously not been an easy journey for you. And going there to start your new life, to persevere through things, And it's also cool how you and your wife hooked up or met one another, and perhaps that's a story for another time. Because Patrick's wife is from the Netherlands. Awesome woman. Shout out to Mariella. Thank you for loving Pat.
Won the lottery with that one.
Yeah. I was about to say we know it's not easy, but okay, we'll go with that.
It's fine. She's the better part of me.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So much love to her too. There must have been moments, I know, and maybe you share a little bit about that. Your expat journey. Were there times when you thought it's too much now? This is harder than I expected it to be. I don't want to do this anymore. This is crazy. The loophole, or the hoops you had to jump through, immigration, learning the language, getting up to scratch, taking on jobs that you never thought you would. Could you share a little bit about that and how difficult it was, but how you now feel today, having gone through all of it?
Yeah, sure. Look, when you embark on this journey, you think to yourself, look, it's gonna get bad. Because that's probably how I am. I'm always, I guess, expect the worst type of person. So prepare yourself. This it will get bad. Should it's the fan, you can always survive on peanut butter and bread sandwiches for dinner. No matter how bad it gets, there's always peanut butter and bread. So this is the mindset I go into because we just we moved here. Well, we moved here. I was going to study full time. Mariella, at the time, she just got a job. She just finished her studies. She got a job at Marriott Hotels in Amsterdam. And I was studying in the south of the Netherlands. So we both had to travel like at least an hour and a half. She had to travel 2 hours by train. I had to drive an hour and a half to my university back. So that was just long hours. And also the language. I mean, this is not I guess a secret, but in South Africa, there's a language called Afrikaans. Both my family speaks English and Afrikaans. For some reason, I just chose to speak only English because I'm like, no, why am I learning Afrikaans? No, fuck that. I'm learning English.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand Afrikaans, but I will reply to you in English.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. That helped me a lot. And then karma came, and then I had to learn Dutch, which is the slave version, for better word, of Afrikaans. Sorry, the other way around.
The other way around.
Afrikaans is the slave version of Dutch.
Yeah.
So that was karma for me. And obviously Dutch is on a higher level than Afrikaans. That's just more complicated. So I had to learn Dutch. Also, I had to do my driving license from over because it wasn't because of the Dutch. Because of the British South African way, we drive on the wrong side of the road. So that had to be from all over again, and that was also the longest. Luckily, I got my license a couple of months ago. But since then and from the beginning, I kind of drove illegally because I was like, "Fuck it, guys! I mean, I have to get to college. Trains are going to take longer than that. I know to drive. I just have to learn how to drive on the other side of the road. So I'm glad to do it. And luckily I didn't get pulled over for anything. I mean, I got fines.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the car was in the wife's name, so she got the fines. But, she wasn't impressed. Like, you're going to keep getting fines. I'm like, that's fine. And the fines, the fines are expensive.
Yeah.
Fuck, just so you know, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's not like South African fines, 50 rand or something like that. No, it's expensive. But I mean, look, the journey was weird also because I came to the Netherlands to study over again because my studies were not accepted for some reason. So I had to start over again. So I was the 30-year-old in first year. And I told myself, look, I'm just here to study. I'm here to get my marks. I need to get a job. So how people perceive me, I didn't care at the moment. I was like, look, you guys, this is not high school for me. I'm over that shit. I'm just here to study, get good grades, and fuck off, basically. As long as my grades were good, I didn't care about anything else.
Did
I
you?
mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
made some friends with, yeah, no?
Okay. Yeah. No. Sorry. And you just answered that as I was going to ask. Were you still able to, even though there was an age gap clearly, still strike commonality with some of the students and create sort of friendships with them?
Fortunate enough, yeah, there was another South African guy from Durban who studied with me. Yeah, and we kind of bonded over rugby, music. And yeah, I made some friends. We would party together also on weekends. So then I would drive all the way there, sleep over by somebody's house, and then come back the next day again. Yeah, which is also weird though because I would always tell my wife like, oh, this person did this and that person did that, but she never got a chance to like meet my friends.
Ah.
So for some reason, she thought I was like just making the shit up,
Yeah.
like Patrick, just coping
Yeah.
mechanism,
Yeah.
Patrick just making the stories up for
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
But no,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember a specific point? I mean, yes, you shared a lot about how difficult it was on that journey to study and go through that. Um, do you remember a specific point that was turnaround moment for you, where you really were up against it? Like this is make or break. There were there even a few times of those, that you had to
Oh,
go
there
through
was
it.
first
Yeah,
year, first
yeah,
year. I think I was like failing a couple of exams. In my first year, I was like, fuck it, Patrick, what's going on here? I mean, you quote unquote did the study already, so it should be
yeah,
easy for you.
yeah.
And there was a point I think where I came home, I just said hi to the wife or the girlfriend at the time, and then I just hit the books.
Mm,
And I think exams was coming up and stuff like that, and I failed a few exams already. And I felt pressure, like if I don't pass the semester, then I'm fucked basically. Then I'm gonna go home.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
I'm basically because I have to have a certain amount of credits or grades to kind of go to the next level.
mm,
And I think I was also just focusing on my studies, and that I failed to kind of check in or at least communicate to my girlfriend then. And there was also causing some tension because, yeah, we both traveled far, we both exhausted, tired, but we didn't also just checking with each other.
mm,
And I remember one point where I just picked up from the train station one evening, and she was just she just was like upset, or there was just some boiling point that something happened, something snapped, and she was like, what's going on? Because like we don't have time for each other, or I don't remember the exact thing she said, but then I just started crying because I'm like, look, I understand that this, right now we're having problems, but like I need to pass, otherwise I'm fucked, otherwise I'm going back home, otherwise I've wasted a couple of €1,000 of money.
mm.
Um, and I just I mean like I knew there was a problem there, but I had to the problems, like my problem is more important than our problem type
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
Um, and I think that was the first time she saw me cry actually,
mm,
or one of the few times she saw me cry, and
yeah,
I think she realized like, okay, what he's going through is actually important.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's absolutely tough going through that, and yeah, I don't know if I could go back and study again and go through, because fuck, some of it was shit, eh?
Special
and
engineering,
and
always fun.
and then learning it in a different language too. And yeah, I'll share that part of my journey in a later stage as well. Um, so, if I may share this, with our audience, you coming from or going from South Africa, having established yourself in the engineering field, have a good job, you had a certain lifestyle, and now you go to the Netherlands for your relationship to try and build, to try and make things work, to have a better future for you and whoever comes after you, and like your baby girl is now. You had to do certain roles as well, and I know you shared with me at the time you even had to work at McDonald's. Does that work on your psyche also? Did that's like you're like, fuck man, I was on a higher level than this, and no disrespect to those people who work at McDonald's, please, that is not what I'm trying to say. But there's certainly a difference in income, and there's certainly a difference in lifestyle and time availability
Yeah.
between the two. does that play on your psyche, or is it back again? Like first year, you sit at your desk and you say, "Listen, I got to go through this. I've got to do this, no matter what."
I guess a bit of both. Like, look, being in the first year with class and stuff like that, it was also, I guess, I told myself, look here, I kind of know more or less what's going on. I know what's in store for me in terms of the future subjects, or different year, what's ahead of me. So I kind of felt like that was an advantage. Um, and I told myself, okay, look, I know more or less what's going to happen in building mechanics, structural engineering, but there was a few subjects like Delta works, um, those type of things that was interesting also, and also I knew if I could kind of master that and get my grades up to a good level, that I could maybe it would be easier to get a job, to get an internship. That I could kind of open those doors, because I knew, like most first year people, they don't really take anything seriously. They just party. It's
Yeah.
new group of friends, a new environment.
Yeah.
Let's get wasted. So I knew, look, if I just put my head down, I can kind of get ahead of them. But there was, like I said, with the language, learning, to get your driver's license from over again, trying to pass integration exams. There's a lot of things that I had to do. I had to kind of jump through hoops, do tests,
Yeah.
and that also cost a lot of money. And there were certain points where, like, the idea was, okay, I obviously made peace. Like, I'm coming to a new country. I'm moving everything. I'm leaving everything behind. So start over. So I can be with this person that I think is the one. And yeah, I don't know if it's being a guy, but you realize, like, okay, there's going to be a lot of sacrifices, to get this, to kind of secure my family, not family legacy, but just to give my family a better place. Because I always, even I think when you guys met me, I always knew, like, this better.
Yeah.
In terms of dating South African girls,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this better.
Yeah.
This better. Not because they not worthy, but just because of the thinking. I knew, this is also a crude thing to say, but like I would have the uh, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
There we go. Yeah.
So I would say,
Yeah.
you can date the color girl, but the foreign is better.
Yeah.
And not because colored, nothing's wrong with being a color girl or a white girl or black girl, but just because foreigners, for lack of a better word, also has a different worldview and things.
There we go. There we go.
So the perspective is not like yours. So if you grew up in the same environment, in the same childhood with someone, you kind of know what they're thinking, what kind of shaped them, and you also know what they've seen, what they know, what their vision is. But if you date someone from a completely different environment, then they just have a different point of view.
They do. They do.
Sometimes these don't make sense. Sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't think of that. But just that part where you can kind of learn from each other.
Yeah.
That's what I think will push you to be a better person.
It does.
I think just after matric, I went to visit my sister in Germany. She just moved to Germany with her ex-husband then. And I don't know, it's something about being in Germany in the cobble streets in, December, snowing. But still, picturesque. It's like, I can see myself living here. It's like, you know better. It's like, this is, you're not walking around the streets looking over your shoulder. Something's going to happen. It's like, it's safe. It's like, shit works.
There we go.
And you like think to yourself, this is better, why can't we just have this,
Yeah.
Why can't this be your life? And then, I went back and I kind of had to figure out, okay, how's this going to work? Either get a better job and then get the right skills and then, try and find a job overseas.
That's
brilliant.
So
that was the idea. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
That was the goal.
And there's sort of two things I want to say. Yeah, like one, again, we come back to the point of the connections, and choosing the correct person, or the correct at the time, or as correct as possible, for the partner that has the vision. And you know, again, shout out to Mariela, and
My savior.
the knowing that it's going to be okay, it's going to get better. He needs to go through what he needs to, and I'm just going to support him and be the best that I can, and that our time will come. And so slowly, I've seen her bring a better, not a better side, a different side out of you, a more vulnerable side out of you. And you guys have been building and building, and again, no relationship is without any difficulties progressing forward, but you guys did it together. So that's really awesome, and I continue and I pray that God protects you guys always, keeps your marriage strong, and that you go and achieve and reach everything that you've always wanted to, and more. And the other thing I want to tap on also is that, like you were saying, in that, and walking along the cobble streets and realizing this life that you see there. And fortunately, I had that opportunity too as a younger, when I was younger. But it reminds me so much of what Steve Harvey said at the time. And it was like, you simply cannot unexpose yourself. And he made an example at a time when, as he was still growing up or becoming famous, not the Steve Harvey we know today, he would fly coach, or economy class, or coach as they call it in the US. And he always would walk past business class or first class. And he would always think, hey, but that's just a seat. We're all going to the same place anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
But now, each time the plane would take off, they closed the curtains. And he's thinking, well, what's on the other side of these curtains? Why do I have to pay so much more to be on the other side of these curtains? But it kept going on him. And eventually, as he became more famous and he started earning a few more bucks, he said, well, I'm going to buy me a ticket now to sit on the other side of this curtain. And he sits there, buys his ticket, and he gets warm nuts, and he gets more beverages, and he gets a better service, and all of that. And he's like, now I understand why they closed the curtain, because people at the back, they're not supposed to see this. Something needs to inspire you to get to that position, and now you enjoy it. And then he said, okay, sweet, I'm going to enjoy this part of it. And he went back to coach on the next flight. And it's like, nah, I know what's on the other side of that curtain now. I know what is out there for me. I know what is better there for me. And yes, this is a simple example in comparison to life, but it's the exposure of experiences that make you understand what is out there, and the humbleness of it to realize, hey, I'm still so small in this giant world, going through this thing called life. And if you know that there's a better thing than just the everyday going to work, living and seeing the same people, doing everything, the same culture. And this, again, there's nothing wrong with for people who choose that. But once you expose yourself like you and I have, your goals tend to level up accordingly as well. And that's what makes it worth it in the end. You realize that if I stick this through, if I keep going through it and fighting and knowing I'm going to reach this goal that I've always set for myself. And that's what motivates us to continue going through it. And I think, like you mentioned before, the view is always for the family. And that's what we do. We tend to do as men, what we suffer for, persevere through. It's always for them, to build that next legacy, to get onto that financial ladder. So, if women have a fertility clock, men have a financial clock. We need to be at a certain point in which we are able to provide and give more and give better. Yes, it's not always about money, but it does make it that much more easier to go through life when
It does. It does.
And yeah, man, it's inspiring to see how far you've come, my brother. And yeah, like I said before, I just wish you guys all the success and to really go and achieve everything that you've always wanted to. Because now at least you have some time to put your head down and look back at those difficult moments and say, well, you know what? I got through that. We got through that. And we can go through the next stage of our lives even stronger and closer together. That's cool,
Yeah,
man.
indeed.
And that's really awesome, Pat. And again, for our audience, we really hope and appreciate you guys being here. And yeah, feel free to share in the comments a sort of a story that has touched you today, or something that reminds you of something or that we've said. We'd be happy to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing those comments too. But I just think about my life too. And a lot of it is also quite similar to yours, as we found out now. We mentioned before, I went to the same primary school, Montevideo, for a few years. And when you went to high school in Rhodes, I was fortunate enough to attend the Deutsche Schule Kapstadt, which is a German school in the city. Long story short, the connection to the school came through my father's boss, who still is his boss now, almost more than 40 years later. Said, hey, your son can go to this school now, give him an opportunity, go and write the entrance exams. And so I did. And I spent 9 to 10 years there, maybe less, but a significant time. Again, exposing myself essentially to different people from around the world. And I think that's where it essentially started. When the holiday time would come and your mates are saying, oh yeah, we're going to Italy for the holidays. We're going to the US for the holidays. We're going to, I don't know, Bahamas for the holidays. Some even going back to Ukraine, or some going to Japan. Some going to Sweden. Some going to Russia. And they're like, where are you going? And we're like, we're going to Houdini Spa. Oh my goodness, or just somewhere local. And that's the difference of the mindset. And for those who don't know, Houdini Spa is just a cool hot springs resort, a few hours out of Cape Town Centre. And it's sort of a big thing in the colored community to go out there and have some time and spend together swimming in hot pools. But it's a thing that it's like an annual event for our people. But yeah, I also knew then at the time, speaking with these people and learning from them, and them bringing me gifts from overseas, and I thank all of them for that too. And them welcoming me into their families and sharing experiences. Again, that all builds up to realize, hey, there's more out there. And yeah, so I spent my years there at the German school learning German, also obviously. And I went to try to study in Europe. I was a bit late for the entrance or admission exams in Germany. I tried to get in Austria as well. Didn't work. Again, too late. And I came back. And my mother said to me, listen, you've had a lovely 3-month vacation. Just going to check out things or do whatever.
Thanks, Mom.
I think it's time you just do what your brother does. And my brother's an engineer as well, doing very well for himself and his family. Just go in and do that. And I thought, well, you know what? At least I'll get my parents off my back, and I'll have a sort of upper hand in the fact that I've got a brother who's working in the industry and he can help me when there are any issues. And he did. And I went into engineering field, and here we are again later. All the times it was difficult, the hours that we put in. Projects again, creating different relationships there too, and I think if I'm being honest, most of my native relationships, or better said, South African cultural understanding or relationships came from this time when I was studying at a public university, so to say, because I'd always been fortunate to be enough in the private schooling sector. Then I started to learn more about people, Pat, like how they behave, what they do, our ways, really. And I promise you, I would sit there and I'd look at them like, what the hell are these animals doing? all all elitist. Oh, is this how they behave? So uncouth,
It's like once you know better, you expect better.
you know. So that was very funny, but it was a humbling experience to know that so easily it could have been me. And shout out to a lot of those people there too who know me, that I've created very good relationships with as well, and that I've studied together, and they've helped me through. And going through our studies specifically, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. There are some frustrating moments and calculations and things that you need to figure out that just doesn't make sense, and you wonder why the bloody hell these equations even exist. But you go
Is it a
through it.
calculator?
You go through it. So yeah, I then my brother again, he's also played a big role in my life. Just being that older brother, having connections in the field, a lot of companies, and so he helped me get my first job too, and that was away from home, and that was in Umtata, or Umtata, as I think they're known in internationally, something like that. Weird.
Okay.
Yeah, but Umtata to me really. And for those of our listeners who know, that is where Mandela was born, grew up, and that's it's fairly Mandela centric down there, Nelson Mandela Boulevard, and all these things, which is really cool to go out there. And funny enough, that was also a place where my brother had started his career as well. And building up from there, and again away from my ex-wife at the time, who was my girlfriend at my ex-wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I was like, nah, shit, man, I miss my girl. Gotta go back. And I think after 6 months or so, I was like, nah, this is bullshit. And I went back to Cape Town, and then it spent some time, obviously, trying to get a job. And your mom's in the back of, and your dad's like, you gotta do it. And you hold out again for that, like, I know what I'm worth type of thing. And you'll get what you want in the end. And I think that's it. That's a very common theme in my life too, is that I know what I am worth, and I know what I can achieve, and I know I can do it no matter what. And as you said before, that peanut butter and bread moments. That's also what my brother said to me. And I'm jumping quite ahead in the timeline. Just before I came to New Zealand to do this, he said to me, or he asked me, "Are you prepared for the peanut butter moments?" And it didn't really click to me at the time, but what he meant was, are you prepared to do what it means, what you got to do? Because there's a lot of people who try to do what you and I have tried and have done, but have not succeeded. Mm-hmm. A lot of people where that saying goes, you think it's green on the other side, but it's not. And that's maybe an excuse for them. But he asked me, are you ready to go and do that? Because if you aren't ready to do that, you're just going to waste your time, and you're wasting the opportunity in which you've developed yourself in the company and doing all that. And I looked at him and I said, I'm more than ready to do that. And I know what I can achieve. And those people are not me. And here we go. And we do it. And I sit on my own for 3 years, and that fucking COVID-19 that came in between, keeping me and my ex-wife apart from one another for 3 years. And having sit down and every night you come home from work and there's no one to talk to. There's no one. The last time I utter a word out loud is basically when I'm at the office. And you come back and you sit for 3 years every day, waiting patiently, hoping, praying, believing that maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that, maybe things are going to change. And it never does. And you get to that point where you're like, fuck, is this even worth it? But it comes in, you got to have that grit. You got to have that perseverance. And you got to have the people that you can reach out, like you and Brian and Robin and Matthew and Celeste and Rian and Warren, who was at the time with us, and Devin. And I mean, I can list so many people, even Justin, who was also on our show, that I could reach back and I can say today, thank you, for being there, for helping me. And the cool part is also somehow during those moments of your weakness, they always reach out. I don't know what that is. I don't know if God is sending a whisper to
Spider
them,
sense.
or there's that spider sense. But at the night
What
time,
am I
it's just
even doing right now?
yeah,
Let's miss you. Yeah.
that's it. And that was really cool, and it keeps you going. And the family that I still have up here in Auckland, though from my ex-wife's side, are near and dear to me too, and also central to how I was able to achieve the success that I do now and have now. And that's really for me, going through the immigration oops, fuck me, that is shit, you know. Oh, you got to pay for this. You got to pay for that. Oh, you got to resubmit this. You got to resubmit that. Oh, put this number there. Put that down. And it's a constant back and forth of this. You got to phone here. Then you are number 401 in the line. Da-da-da. And you wait and you listen to them. And you're just like,
After a while, you get used to the song. You know the song
you know
already.
what,
Yeah.
you know what? I fucking laughed one night. I was in the shower and I started fucking singing one of these old songs. Like what the hell? It's just
They're getting to you. They're
yeah,
getting to
it's
you.
like what the hell, man. And but that's part of the journey. That's part of the journey. And unfortunately, all those sacrifices in the end didn't materialize for what I'd hoped to, as I touched on before. But what it did do is strengthen me and realize again and reaffirm within me that if I say I can do it and I truly believe it and I focus on it, I can achieve it. And if I can do it from the humble beginnings that I've had and that you've had, that if you focus on something and it is everything that you dream of and you think of and you breathe of and you just have this undying resilience to achieve what you want to do because you know you are worth it, you can achieve it. And that's part, again, I come back to the first thing about what the message is for our channel and what we want to do and inspire young men and women out there. Even in the later stages of their lives, you get a knock and you get up. Because that is the true grit and the character times, as I say, going through all those moments you and I have. Again, as Les Brown would say, those are not difficult times, they are character building times. And all the hard times have not come to stay, but they've come to pass. And that truly is it. It's like God saying to you and asking you, how much do you really want this? I will test you and 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 I will test you on and on and on. But one day when you stand up there and you achieve it and like boom, and every single thing falls into place and it's nuts. And then you're like, fuck, yes. And that's where I am now. Finally. And I'm also too a believer that everything in life happens for us and not to us. And when you have that perception, you can achieve and keep going. And these are just stumbling blocks and molehills in the road and the tiny little speed bumps along the road that you can sit down around the fire one day with your best mates and have a laugh and a drink about and celebrate success together.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. It's
and look back and think like, I remember that times we were struggling up.
Yeah.
But it's nothing now.
It's nothing now. It's nothing now. And sometimes even those struggles that was monumental at the time, you never thought, no shit, life cannot get worse than this. And then you come to these times and maybe life gets even worse for a little bit. And then you say, you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. I was just a bit immature. I was just a bloody tool or an asshole. You and I share that commonality too. I think there's a lot of people who would look back and say to me, what a bloody dick that guy was. But you just, man, is what it is.
And so you learn.
And so we learn.
So you reflect on yourself. Yeah.
And so we learn. And so we move forward and do all these things and we keep building. And there's a few plans that I have in the future that I hope and I pray will eventuate. But I take it step by step now. I enjoy it. And yeah, man. But we're on this journey together on our show. I'm enjoying it. And, as Justin said, Joe Rogan, watch out, we're coming for you.
Slow down.
Yeah. But I've enjoyed it so much, and again to connect with you.
My point and your point about the once you're exposed to better things, you kind of do better, expect better, you want better,
You do.
and that kind of pushes you to long hours, work extra in the gym, because there's another level. There's another summit that is possible, that is in your grasp.
Yeah.
You just have to work for it.
You just have to.
And also, just a funny note on that also, when my wife met me, I only used to eat burgers.
Yeah, I remember that.
You go to a restaurant, I'll just have a cheeseburger, thanks. Just,
And
I know
you used to be the slowest burger eater in the world.
Exactly.
Fuck.
I mean, I know from Africa, but still, I'm done,
I mean, who takes half an hour to eat a burger, Patrick?
What can I say?
Gosh.
But, I do shit well, so, that's good, that just system's good. No.
Fair play.
But yeah, I mean, and the wife's a foodie. She loves food. And she, for her it was funny. But, on the journey, I guess, together, I've kind of, I've learned to eat carpaccio. Beforehand, I didn't know what that was. Like, why would I eat raw meat? This doesn't look healthy. But yeah, you kind of, also just to kind of get out of that kind of comfort zone of just eating burgers because I know what I'm going to get. And it's also, you just, you eat better. So now I'm kind of, also with wines. I mean, I was never a wine person, but I can enjoy a white wine. And so you kind of need someone also to kind of push you because they also instinctively know what you're capable of. In that realm.
Just wait.
But
wait until you get to the Reds, because the Reds also good. Brian was also on me, but
that's good.
I was like you. I was exactly like, I was like,
while.
Fuck red wine. And then Brian last year when I went back home, Brian's like, listen, come have a glass of red wine with me. And fuck, I love a red wine now. So you'll get there too, my brother.
No, it's gonna take years. I mean, I remember when I was in Germany visiting my sister, we went to this party, and it was, I wouldn't say like a upscale party, but they were like enjoying the wines, looking at these African red wines, because they were like, oh, this wine is from this farm, and I'm like, oh, these people are pretentious. And I didn't drink red wine, but I saw tequila. I'm like, oh, tequila's there, I'll drink it. Because for some reason I gravitated towards liquor than beer. And I drank tequila because I'm like, I know this, I can do this, I'm tough. And I finished the bottle. But afterwards I was still jonesing for more alcohol, because I'm feeling it now, man. And there was no alcohol left, only red wine. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll drink it. And that was the problem. You should never mix your spirits. Never. If you're gonna stick with one spirit, stick with that whole night. And that's how I learned my lesson. So I made a fool of myself that night. But even since then, I still can't drink red wine. I still can't stomach it for some reason. It's just it tastes like wood. Like oak, like I'm drinking a barrel.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The barrel flavor goes into the wood, and it's there's some different barrels that we'll get there. And I'm sure Brian is listening, saying, "Oh, say this barrel and say that barrel and that."
That's too barrely for me, for my taste.
But now, Pat, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and thank you to our audience for listening to us this morning, or this evening, or whatever time of the day it is where you are. Again, as we say, please, we ask you to, or encourage you to reach out in the comments, share some moments. Even if you have a cool story that you want to share with us, and who knows, Patrick and I may consider introducing some or bringing some of you onto the platform to have an interview together. Share a funny story, share your story with us. That would be awesome. Pat, my good man, time to sign out. Thank you very much again.
Is that buzzer here, Keegan?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. And listen, I just want you to know that I do forgive you for the pool. Okay? I do forgive you for the pool.
If I do go tomorrow, then at least I know, there's no feelings for that, Keegan. Thank you.
You're forgiven. My brother, enjoy your evening. Much love.
You too, sir. Enjoy your morning. Peace. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks.
See you, man.